Hello and welcome to the Lorna Marie Fitness Podcast, the show where we talk all things fitness, health, mindset and lifestyle to help you become fitter, healthier and happier. I help busy people who lack time, motivation and self-belief to look and feel great again. If you want to work with me, head over to lornamariefitness.co.uk, but for now, enjoy this episode. Hi everyone and welcome to the Q&A. Now, I don't know about where you are, but where we are in the UK right now, we woke up to beautiful snowy weather today. It was so gorgeous, really, really nice. And before we start the Q&A, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who came to the squad do at the weekend. It was the squad Christmas bottomless brunch and it was really good fun. It was really, really nice. And a lot of squaddies got to put names to faces and meet lovely, like-minded people. It was just really lovely. And if you feel like you missed out or you couldn't make it, make sure you are booked in. Make sure you're booked into the 5-year party. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be phenomenal. It's a 2-course dinner. We've got speeches, we've got awards, we've got entertainment, so we're going to do a DJ, and team, drum roll, please. We've got a brand new class coming called Dance Fitness, and it is my full intention to do some like choreographed routines that we can do there as well, like a flash mob. So it's going to be so cool. So you need to come along and just do the flash mob. Anyway, if you've been umming and ahhing, and you're thinking, oh, I don't really know because I don't really know if I know anyone. Well, you're in the majority. Everyone is so lovely. And this is how we get to know everybody anyway. You know, you get to put names to faces. You get to have fun, have a bit of a chat. You get to maybe even meet me for the first time in the flesh. It's just really nice. And it's nice and it's fun and it's such a lovely experience. And the only thing you'll ever regret is the things that you don't do. I said that completely wrong. The only things you ever regret are the things you don't do, right? You will regret not coming to this. It's the first time we've ever done it, and it's also the last time there'll ever be a 5-year party. So, you know, you got to book yourself on. And by the way, we only have 21 tickets left. So we had 100 altogether, and we've got 21 left. So that's it. And it's in March next year. So you need to be on it. Your family and friends are more than welcome to come. Now, on that note, talking of family and friends, tell everyone about the food bank. Anyone who's anyone needs to know about the food bank drive in Loudon Village Hall on the 7th. Last year, we got a ton of food. I want to beat it. I really want to beat it. So please tell everybody, let's make this huge. There are so many families who are struggling this time of year. So let's make this massive. Tell everyone, bring a bag of food and you get a free workout in return if you want to do a free workout. And yeah, for the details, it's all on a Facebook event on the Lorna Marie Fitness page. But basically, Saturday 7th, come along to the hall at 8:30 in the morning. You get a workout for free and just bring a bag of food, and it's all for a fantastic cause. And we'll be closing the hall at 10, so the drop-offs are open until 10, and we've got the local scouts helping. So yeah, it's gonna be really great. So that is coming up. And finally, final notice before we start is we've been doing a nutrition focus at Lorna Marie Fitness. Now, something that is coming up is going to be the Lorna Marie Fitness Advent. So all throughout December, we're going to be getting you to do wellness things. So every day you'll open a different wellness window. Anyone can join in on this as well. We're just going to do it as a bit of fun over our socials, but also on a serious note, to focus on your well-being at a really, really busy time to make sure you're putting you first and maybe even getting you to try some new things. So we want to see you spreading the love all over social media. Tag us in your photos, tell us what things you're trying. If you're going to do the task on, for example, the first, the second, the third. So squaddies, that is dropping into your Friday email next week. Okay, next week. Stay tuned. The Lorna Marie Fitness Advent is coming. And this week we have had, like I said, November's been a nutrition focus. We had our healthy shopping trolley example. So go and have a look at that. It's on the nutrition focus area. Now, without any further delay, well, they're all very important notices, aren't they? We are going to get on with the questions. I'm just getting them up right now. Question number 1. Saddlebags, best exercises to reduce them, please. So saddlebags are, well, it's the term used, a bit like bingo wings, the affectionate term to describe the fat that is on the outer thighs and the hips. Now, there is no way that you can choose a part on your body where you say, I want to lose fat from that specific area. It comes as a result of losing body fat all around. Now, women particularly tend to hold fat around the hips, the glutes, the thighs, and there's a reason for that. And it's because we were created to be childbearing, right? And that's actually quite important. Some other women find that, particularly if you're going through the perimenopausal, menopausal stage, that they tend to hold it more around their tummy. But we can't decide where our body prefers to store fat. That's the first thing that we need to know, and we need to be very clear about here. That's not to say there's nothing that can't be done. What you want to be doing is working to tone that area. And what I mean by toning is, yeah, building some muscle. I mean, building some muscle in that area to give you that healthy tone so that when you do lose body fat, it will come off that area, yes, but it might not come off there first. And that depends on your genetics. So sometimes it's a case of just having a little bit of patience, trusting the process, staying, in a calorie deficit. So you're losing weight, but you're maintaining as much muscle mass as possible so that you can shape that area. Now, for that area in particular, I would be saying you want to do things like lateral leg lift, so taking your leg out to the side, things like clams. I would be focusing on the booty band workouts, and I'd also be focusing on stronger and making sure that you're doing those to really shape and tone that area. You've got other things like fire hydrants, donkeys, like all sorts. So basically, like, yeah, the glutes, outer thighs, glute medius, you want to be focusing on here. This is what I would be doing to shape that particular area. So your main classes for that are going to be, like I said, the booty band one, which we call body conditioning, stronger, and then also Pilates as well. A lot of those exercises we include in Pilates. And they're the best classes to focus on. So just make sure that you've got at least a couple of those in your plan every week. Question number 2, and then also like to reduce the saddlebags, being in a moderate calorie deficit at the same time. So losing 1 to 2 pounds per week. And that is on average over a month, because particularly as women as well, you'll have some weeks where you find that your weight will plateau and maybe sometimes even go up, but it might be water weight. But the general picture is that's roughly what you're losing every week. But keeping up with your strength classes and eating enough protein, getting enough rest to rest those muscles so you actually see the results from your workouts. That's my best advice on that one. I am sleeping better because I've just bought a weighted blanket, which feels like a life changer. Is there any recommendations for how to ensure a good sleep when struggling with anxiety, as I won't be able to take my weighted blanket away with me when I'm working away from home? Yeah, do you know what? Actually, weighted blankets can be so, so useful for this. It's to do with that pressure. I believe it's called DPS. Is that correct? DPS. I'm sure it's called DPS, where it's almost like I think a weighted blanket is a little bit like a hug. It is a bit like a hug and it makes you feel safe. Yeah, it is called DPS, deep pressure stimulation. And it's just like having a hug, isn't it? And I think it makes you feel really safe. It releases it, or it helps release like serotonin and just like some feel good and feel safe hormones is what I want to say. Now, if you are struggling with anxiety and you can't take your blanket away with you, obviously some of these are really quite heavy. Some of these weighted blankets are, are seriously heavy and they're not going to be convenient to take away with you at all and give you a bit of a pain in the bum. So what I would be doing is a few things. The first thing you can do is you can focus on breath work. So you could be breathing in for 4, hold for 5, and then the key is to release for longer than you breathe in. So you release for 6 or 7, just keep breathing out. And it engages your parasympathetic system, which indicates to your body that it's relaxing time. So you could do a little bit of breath work, a few rounds of that. You could do some active relaxation. So, where you kind of scrunch your fists up, scrunch your face up, lift the shoulders, squeeze the thighs, squeeze the arms. So everything's really, really tight. And then release it bit by bit. And then feel your whole body sink. And you could do a few rounds of that. You could also put on our pre-bedtime yoga or pre-bedtime meditation. A lot of squaddies do use that quite often. We also have an anti-anxiety one. So they're really, really good ones to look at If you go onto, you could type it into on demand on the search bar, or you could go onto the holistic section, click meditation, and they're all in there. That's a really good area to have a little look at as well. We've got some nice breathwork ones on there too, if you're not sure where to begin with the breathwork side of things. So there's a couple of examples. No, 3 examples actually. You've got your breath work, you've got the active muscle relaxation, then you've got the going on to on demand, popping on a meditation or a pre-bedtime yoga. Other things that I'd make sure you do is just have like a really relaxing routine before you go to bed, limiting screen time or any thought about work, making sure that you clock off within, a really decent time to allow yourself to relax. Another thing you can do, which is really quite useful, and I've definitely done this in the past, is where you have like a little, I just use pen and paper, but you write down the things that have been on your mind or your anxieties, your worries, and then challenge them one at a time and challenge them if it's true. Has it happened yet? Is it happening? And usually what you find that all your anxieties are just worries, these hypothetical worries about things that haven't actually happened, and there's no evidence for it. So ask yourself, is there evidence for this? And there's got to be like solid evidence that this has happened. And usually it's like, well, no, but if this happens and this happens and then this happens, then it will happen. And it's like, no, 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 no. Is there any evidence for it? Technically, no. Okay, right. Is it true? Well, technically, no. Okay, it's not true. There's no evidence for it. And then try and look at it from a pragmatic point of view. So that's what you can do. So challenge it, sit on the other side, challenge all of these. And that can be quite a useful thing to do. So there are a few things that I would do, and I hope that's useful. And I think with anxiety, it's a work in progress, isn't it? It really, really is. And talking to yourself, reminding yourself that you're okay, you are okay. And the weighted blanket is brilliant. It's a great tool, but at the same time, we want to be approaching this on more of a long-term kind of basis and be working at this all the time, because we don't just want to be sticking a plaster on it, if you see what I mean. The weighted blanket is great, but is it a plaster? It's all got to come from in here, right? If you're listening, by the way, I'm pointing to my noggin, as someone would say. Next question. And as I read the question out, I'm just going to walk to the side of the room because I need the laptop charger. Okay, the next question is, how do I work up to doing a proper push-up? I've never been able to do them. My arms are too weak, especially the ones with the arms tight into the body. Please help. Okay, so the ones that are tight into the body, hey, I'm back. The ones that are tight into the body, they're your tricep ones, and they are harder. They're harder because they're using smaller muscles and less muscles as well. Whereas with the chest push-ups, you're using your chest, your triceps, your shoulders, your back. Whereas the triceps, you're using, much less muscles. And it's a bit of a tighter angle as well. It's a bit more of an acute angle. Let me just put this in. There we go. Sorry, I don't know what that noise was then. So here's what you want to do. Firstly, to get better at something, we must practice it. Even though, yes, it is hard, yes, it is tricky, to get better at something, you've got to practice it. Now, if you haven't already, I would go to the how-to area on demand. So click on demand, click how-to, and click push-ups. And I go through the push-up, exact technique, and also how to build it up. So I go through basically everything that I'm going to say now, but I would do it with that video. And a really great place to start would be using a wall. So make sure that you're getting the right position with your hands. So if we're starting with chest, you want take your hands shoulder distance and take them one hand distance outside your shoulders. So I've gone from my shoulder distance apart and I've gone one hand distance outside of my shoulders. You take your elbows wide in a wide arrow. So they're not exactly perpendicular, they're in a wide arrow shape. You lower down until your chest reaches elbow height and then you push up. So start with a wall. Start with a wall. And then you can progress. So you can go down onto your knees and you could have a step, for example. Put your hands on the step and you could be on your knees doing a push-up there. Another way to get stronger at a push-up is to actually really, really work on the eccentric phase of the push-up. And that is the lowering down phase. So can you really, really focus on that, the lowering down phase of the push-up? Really, really taking your time. And that's a really, really good way to, yeah, to get better at the push-up. And then you could lower down very, very slowly, and then drop your knees and then come up. But that's going to be something for when you've like mastered the doing on your knees one first. But the best way to do it is to practice it. So one option you'll hear me giving classes come into onto all fours and do it like that. And that's fine as long as you're actually putting pressure into your chest. What a lot of people do is find they get stuck there because they don't put enough pressure into their chest, or they never actually then shuffle their knees backwards, or they never actually try starting on the toes, lowering down, putting the knees in the floor and coming back up with the knees in the ground. They never actually try doing those progressions. So then they just never improve. So, but if you're starting from scratch with these, I would use a wall, and then I would do what I said, like focus on the lowering down phase, slow things down, and do things like stronger. Get yourself on the chest track. Let's build some strength in the chest, and have a look at the how-to video as well, and just keep doing it with that. So you've got the technique, and just keep practicing it. Like basically put it in your diary that, right, okay, before class or after class, I'm going to go on the how-to area and I'm going to practice that. And the last very important ingredient is, well, two actually: patience and persistence. It's not something that we can just do like for 1 week. It's something you've got to consistently, persistently do and be adamant about it. Otherwise, we just don't improve. So keep at it, basically, is what I'm saying. And if you think, oh, I'm not going to do that, Lorna, then just keep doing stronger. Put stronger in, put stronger in your timetable, minimum twice a week. And I promise you, give it a few months, and yeah, you'll be away. Next question. I don't even know if I'm doing these in order now. I feel like Facebook's changed the order. Okay. How often or long should I be exercising? The recommended amount is 150 minutes of moderate exercise, so at least 150 minutes of moderate exercise, or 75 minutes of vigorous, and that is at least that. So if you kind of break that down a little bit, the moderate can be, it can be gardening, it can be cleaning, it can be our power walking classes, it would be our Pilates classes, depending on how much weight you use, potentially stronger, or stronger could go into vigorous if you're using a heavier weight. Those kind of things, that would be considered moderate exercise, 150 minutes of moderate. And if you're nowhere near that right now, don't worry, we can build up to that. So you want to break this down. Then it's all vigorous. So if you're doing 75 minutes of vigorous, that'll be things like HIIT, combat, stronger with some heavy weights, aerobics, running, etc., spin classes. That would be more on the vigorous side of things. Or you can find some sort of happy medium in the middle. That's how many minutes are recommended. As I said, the best thing to do is to break it down. If you're nowhere near that right now, just think, okay, this is roughly what I'm doing right now. I'm going to increase it by 20%, and I'm going to keep that for a couple of weeks. And then I'm going to do it by another 20%. So just think about the next step ahead. If you follow our class timetable, so if you follow either the 6:30 or the 9:30, or you might do both. So you might follow them on demand, or you might do the live replays in the evening at 5:30 or 6 with the other squaddies who are evening or night owls. Or yeah, like I said, on demand, whenever. If you choose one of those to follow, I will make sure that you cover all bases, basically. So you don't even have to think. Just follow those Monday to Friday, the 6:30 or the 9:30. Or if you want to do both, then great, both of them. I'll have you covered either way. So that's what you have to think about. And that I also have you covered in terms of like the variety. Sometimes we might not be able to do it all. So for example, I always recommend to do a couple of strengths a week. So sometimes we might only be able to do like one stronger in the morning, for example. So then maybe at the weekend, or you could do, so I'm just shuffling that around. Or you could do like a bolt on. So if you do like we do an aerobics, and you could do a bolt on stronger like before or after, or some sort of strength workout. Next question. I'm feeling rock bottom. Oh, No, I'm really sorry to hear that. And that's a really, really difficult place to be. And it's going to sound really hard, but the best thing you can do when you're feeling at rock bottom is to, even though you don't feel like exercising, is to just do something, because I can't tell you how much better it makes you feel in both your mind and your body. Just even if it's 10 minutes. And you could do something really light, like we've already spoken about pre-bedtime yoga, or just a really chilled session. Or you might think, nah, do you know what? I don't need that. I need like an MJ power walking, or like a little mixed combat. I need something like that. And that will help you feel a million times better. It really, really will. And it's just about being consistent and making sure you're showing up for you and controlling the controllables, and also reaching out to somebody. If you're feeling rock bottom, there are so many helplines, so many people you can speak to, Samaritans being like one of them. But know that you're in a safe place in the squad. Know that we're here for you. You can reach out to myself, to Laura, to Catherine, to Sarah. We're all here for you. And also the squad, we're all here. We're all here. So please never feel like you're alone. And we all have times when we feel really, really rubbish and awful things happen. And it is a case of surrounding yourself with positive people who can lift you up, and also doing something for you that is going to make you feel good. And that is what I would say. I would just put on either something, depending on what you need and what you feel you need, but just getting into like a consistent routine of showing up for you. But it always just starts with just literally putting a class on and just doing it. And then as soon as you've done that, you feel it's like this sense of relief, because it's a huge buildup in your mind as well, especially when you're not feeling good in yourself and you're feeling rock bottom. It's a huge buildup in your mind to like actually go out and do something to feel better. But that's the best thing to do. And then, like I said, making sure you speak to somebody and making sure you just control the controllables, you're fueling yourself well, because if we don't eat well, that can have a knock-on effect with how we feel. Same with sleep. Sleep's a massive one. How's your sleep? Are you prioritizing sleep? Sleep is the foundation. If we don't get enough sleep, we feel worse. So just making sure you're looking after you the best you possibly can. And also, I'm sending you a big hug. Am I right in thinking I should be cutting right down on carbohydrates in perimenopause? No, it's not right. I'm really concerned about this microphone. I'm just going to turn this around. Excuse me, one moment. It was getting like lower and lower down my top. I was like, my microphone's going to disappear. Going to disappear down my top. So no, carbohydrates are a really, really important part of your diet. And actually, our muscles need them. Our muscles need protein and carbohydrates to replenish themselves. And during this time, we are trying to hold on to as much lean muscle mass as possible, because during the perimenopause and postmenopause, we exponentially lose muscle mass year on year if we don't do anything about it. So if we're not strength training or strength training enough, if we are not eating enough protein, if we're not getting enough sleep, if we're not eating enough carbohydrates. So absolutely not. What you might find out is that your body is metabolizing foods in a bit of a different way. So maybe things that used to be absolutely fine eating, you might find that actually they cause a bit of bloating now, or they just don't sit as nicely with you. But you definitely do need to be eating carbohydrates, and there's nothing to say that you need to be cutting back on carbohydrates at all. Not at all. They're a really important part of the diet. So I would be focusing on energy releasing carbohydrates. So things like you've got your kind of whole grain, whole wheat, rye, breads. You've got things like your potatoes. So, for example, sweet potatoes, um, more varieties like your whole grain rice, etc. Just think of things that are more slow energy releasing. Not that there's anything wrong with white bread or white rice, absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. But if it's something you want to be more mindful about and you want to be eating foods that keep you a bit fuller for longer, like slower energy releasing, things that don't cause like spikes in your blood sugar, for example, if that's something that affects you, might not be. If you want to be more mindful of that, maybe looking at your lower GI foods. But yeah, you need to be having carbohydrates, definitely, especially if you're going to be more active, which I hope you are. Yeah, you need to be replenishing. You need to be replenishing your muscles. So basically, our muscles need fuel. Okay, when we do a workout, let me explain this. When we do a workout, we need to use fuel. Okay, in our bodies. Our bodies need fuel. It's like a car needs petrol or diesel. If you're trying to do a workout and you haven't got any fuel in the tank, your body is going to be looking for other ways to source that fuel. So if you don't have enough stored carbohydrates in your muscles for fuel, your body is going to go around and look for another source of fuel. Chances are it is going to be taking some fuel from your muscles. So that could lead to an increased loss in your muscle mass, which is not what we want. So we want to make sure that we've got stored carbohydrates there, we've got carbohydrates that our body can use, and hold on to as much lean muscle mass as possible. I hope that makes sense. Good ways to get motivated. And there's another question at the bottom as well saying, how can I get motivated? Oh, gang. So the best way to get motivated is to take action, to get started, to do something, even if you really don't feel like it. That is the only way to get motivated, by taking action. Far too many people wait around for the little magic fairy of motivation to come and sit on their shoulder and think that somehow magically this is going to make them feel, oh, do you know what? Woken up today, I feel really motivated. I'm going to work out. And it doesn't work like that at all. The longer you leave it, the harder it is to get motivated. So we can't rely on motivation. You probably heard people saying, oh, yeah, don't rely on motivation, rely on discipline. But what if you're somebody who actually doesn't really feel very disciplined either? Then what? Then what do you do? And I'm going to tell you what you do. You say, well, I don't feel motivated. I'm not very disciplined. So what I'm going to do is just do it anyway. Just do it anyway. Take action. It might look messy. It might look a bit imperfect. It might be you doing a dance around your kitchen. It might be you turning up to the 6:30 before your body knows what on earth is going on, in your pajamas or in your bra and your knickers, and you're just doing a class there just to show up for you. It could look, like I said, it can be imperfect. It could be messy. It doesn't need to be 100% effort. You just got to show up. Just do it. You do that one class and you show up for you, and all of a sudden you finish class. You're like, oh, okay, I was actually all right. And yeah, that was a good workout. I feel all right now. Yeah, I feel good. And then you finish that and you go about your day feeling more energized, feeling more positive, and like you've done something for you. And I always think like doing it in the morning, if you're somebody who isn't very motivated, is the most important thing, because our motivation as we get tired throughout the day and as we're making lots of decisions throughout the day and we get decision fatigue by the end of the day, spent a whole day making decisions and doing whatever we're doing, our motivation is going to be going less and less and less and less and less and less. Therefore, if you just put on your big girl panties and get it done in the morning, then you just feel so good. Action creates motivation. And for not for not everyone will feel motivated in the morning. 100%. That's okay to know that. That's okay to know that when you put on demand on first thing in the morning, or you show up to the 6:30 class, if you're coming to that first thing in the morning, do you really think that every single person in that class feels motivated? Or are they just showing up because they're showing up for them? They show up consistently, they've got it into their routine, so it's become a habit. And if they don't show up, then something just feels a bit off and they don't really feel right. But for you, that might be the 5:30 class or the 6 o'clock class, or it might be doing it on demand when you put the kids to bed. Whatever it is for you, Show up for you and take action. That's the best way to get motivated. As soon as you've done that one thing and you've taken action, and also take the pressure off, just do a short one. Do a short 10 minutes, 10-minute blast while you've got the dinner on. Right, put the dinner in, 10 minutes, off we go. Or do it in the kitchen while dinner's cooking, whatever. Just do it, get it done. You'll feel so much better. So take the pressure off, do something a bit shorter, do something that you really enjoy, because that's a great way to get motivated as well. Doing something that you enjoy doing. Then from that point, what you want to do is get it into your diary, plan your classes, because if you don't plan, it is planning to fail for 99.9% of the population. So we need to be serious about our health and fitness. Like, you'll show up to get a haircut and you'll show up to the dentist. What about showing up for your health and fitness that actually gives you a good quality of life and actually makes sure that you can get yourself to these places? So you need to be serious about it. You need to make an appointment with yourself and you need to show up. It's not about being motivated. We need to, I think sometimes we need to actually adult ourselves and be like, come on, let's do this. This isn't good enough. I need to show up for me. Just get myself there. And we need to drag our sorry butts there. And then we feel amazing afterwards. And see it a different way as well. I think a lot of people see exercise as like taking away from other things that they could be doing, but it's not. It's actually adding quality to your life and adding to everything else you do. So reframe it in a different way. It's not that I have to go and do exercise. It's I get to go and do exercise and add years to my life. Like, okay, I might not immediately see it right now, but I will. And also, what I immediately see right now is that little tone in my arm because I've been showing up to Stronger twice a week, every week for the past 6 weeks. Or, oh, do you know what? That one workout, I just feel amazing now. I'm really glad that I did that. So you get that immediate effect of feeling good, feeling good. So just remember that. Remember that. And also, what I wanted to say, what I was trying to say was you want to get that consistency. So you want to plan. First step is just show up, like adult yourself and just show up. Second, I'm getting bossy now. Second is to get the plan. The third thing is to make it consistent. So if you get it into your routine that you do a class at that time every day, Monday to Friday, or at that time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or at those times, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, get 3 workouts in, or however many you want to do. Make it realistic, by the way. Make it achievable. Have a bit of a range. So you might say, okay, my absolute minimum is 3. In an ideal world, I get 5, but anything above 3 is a win. Because that's a good way to stay motivated as well. So make sure you've got a range and get it into your routine so that that's just what you do. It's a routine that becomes a habit, and then it becomes something that you just do and you don't ever have to think about motivation because you just go. You just do it and you don't really think about it. And I think as well, one of the great things about doing the classes, and if the timings work for you to come to a live, because that is also very motivating, or follow the live timetable and do it on demand. So you're still keeping up with it because that is motivating too. What I would say, or like as many as you want to, on the new this week section, if you're doing like say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whatever. I'm not saying you have to do every single class, that would be crazy. One of the best things is the fact that you just turn up, and I've thought it all out for you. So just show up and then the rest just gets easier. That is how you get motivated. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Next question. I've lost 3K so far through doing the core 4 over the past 2 weeks. What happens if I plateau? So if you plateau, then what happens is we have a little look and we make some readjustments. So we look at the food, make some readjustments and tweaks. So reduce portion size by 20%, and then off we go again. But that is really normal. So you find at the start of a weight loss journey or fat loss journey that the weight comes off very quickly, and a lot of that is water. So a lot of it's water weight and some of it's body fat as well. And then as you lose weight, there is literally less mass of you, like there is less of you. So naturally, it is going to become a little bit harder. You will find you'll get to a plateau, but then when we get there, we just make some small tweaks. small tweaks. So reduce portion size by 20%, and then we go again. But we'd monitor that like realistically minimum every 3 weeks, but like 3 to 4 weeks, you want to be making those small tweaks and adjustments. And to monitor it, just take your lowest weight of the week. So weigh yourself same time every single day. Use it as a piece of data. So if you have any emotional attachment to it, don't weigh yourself. It's not worth it. It really isn't. It's just a number. But if you can see it as a piece of data, weigh yourself at the same time every day, take the lowest weight of the week, and then compare that over the weeks to know where things are going with this. That is what I would do. And then, yeah, when you hit a plateau, we'll just make small tweaks in food portions and then continue. Just keep that consistency with your diet, though, and with your exercise, of course. Not seeing much change in terms of measurements yet, but it's early days. Trying not to let that get me down. I know it's a very gradual thing. At this stage, I'm mainly learning new habits. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, these changes are going to happen over time. So, I mean, I don't really know how long we're talking here. I don't know, because this is anonymous comment here. I don't know how long we're talking here. Obviously, we do want to see progress. And you'll probably find that if you are sticking to the workouts and you're sticking to your diet as well, to your nutrition plan, that your measurements are going to change in a different way because your body is going to be changing shape. So you'll be getting a more toned look, like that healthy, toned look. So your measurements are going to be changing in different ways. And weight is a really tricky one because what you will find is that when you are exercising, your muscle mass will be increasing, which is denser than body fat. So you might find your muscle mass is increasing, so the scales aren't changing much, yet your body shape is completely changing. And the best thing to do is to take some progress pictures about 6 to 8 weeks apart, just at the same time, each time you do it, in your underwear. Keep them for you, or you can always share them with like myself or with Laura so we can see your progress as well. And if you need any advice, you know that we're always here for you, right? But that's what I would do, like every 6 to 8 weeks, and then you'll be able to see. But just focus on ticking off the boxes. The only way you won't get there, the only way that you won't get to your goals is if you give up too early, or if you get impatient, so you look for something else and then do a quick fix, and then it ends up being a long fix because it's unsustainable, and then we have to find something else, or you lose those weight and then bang it all back on because we haven't taught ourselves how to eat healthily at maintenance. So this is what we want it to be gradual. Of course, there's like a limit where, if you're not seeing any results, it gets really frustrating and really demotivating. And that's where if we've hit a plateau, then we can make some tweaks. But up until that point, and anyway, just keep ticking off the boxes and focus on, they're your wins, right? 70-30 with the food, the sleep, your water, and showing up for the exercises, the exercise classes. They're your wins. So just keep focusing on ticking the boxes off. And then when, if you need any help or any advice, then hit us up. But you're totally right. We have to have patience with these things. Do you have a couple of easy, adaptable lunch ideas which will hit the spot and a right balance of nutrients? So if you want any ideas, I would actually have a look at the recipe book that we shared this week. So have a look on there. And there's some great ideas in there. And I would say these are things you want to focus on, okay? You want to base it around protein. Protein will keep you feeling fuller for longer. So what protein source can you put into your lunch? What can you start off with? Maybe some tuna, some tofu, some chicken, some eggs. Get your protein source first. Then we want to be thinking about carbohydrates. Like I said, they are important. What carbohydrates can you put in there? Maybe you're making a sandwich. Maybe you have some whole grain bread in there, or you have a pita. Maybe you have some potato. Maybe you have some sweet potato. Maybe you're going to have a stir fry. Where are the carbohydrates? Put those in there. Then make sure you've got some healthy fats in there. So I'd say like a thumb size amount of healthy fats. That might be like an olive oil dressing. Careful with portion size on fats, gang. Not that it's a bad thing, but if you are on a weight loss journey, that can add up basically. But they are important to include in your diet, and fat doesn't make you fat, just saying. You need it. But you could have things like avocado, nuts, seeds. So be thinking about what you could add. Olives, for example. And there you have it. There's a real balanced meal. And it depends what's going to be easy for you to take and what you like cooking. one really easy hack would be to make a little bit extra on your dinner at night and then just pack that for your packed lunch the next day. That'd be really super easy. Um, they're things that I would suggest, but I would definitely go and have a look at the recipe book for some ideas on that one. And when you are making it, so whether you decide to make it for dinner and make extra, or if you're just making your lunch, just batch a few, just make a few that then they're there so you can just take them easily. And oh, if you have a look as well in the nutrition area, the portion size guide for like the balance of protein, carbohydrates, fat. Also, one thing that I didn't say is making sure that you've got some sort of like salad or veggie and fruit in there. So then that would make sure that you're basically ticking all the boxes. And if you really want to go into it, making sure that you've got some sort of calcium in there too for your bones, so calcium, vitamin D, that might be in the form of cheese. So you might have like cottage cheese, sweet potato with a bit of salad, for example. And maybe in the salad, you've got some avocado in there. So that might be like quite a good option. And also with the cottage cheese, you're going to be getting some calcium. Or you might decide that you're going to make yourself a tuna salad sandwich or a tuna salad pita or a tuna salad wrap. And then you're going to have a Greek yogurt and some fruit to take with you, for example. That would be, yeah, that would be hitting the spot as well. But also, I could give you loads of ideas, but essentially, the best thing with nutrition is to go by what you normally have and make some tweaks to it, like one or two tweaks, because there's no point in me giving like loads of like perfect, oh, this is the perfect lunch and this is the perfect lunch if it's not even food that you normally have. So start with what you've got already, what you normally have, and make a couple of tweaks to that. That is the best advice, and that's actually how you'll be able to stick at it, just making those small tweaks over time. How can I bridge the gap between a super early start and lunchtime when I'm at the when I'm at the work when I'm at work? I need healthy snack ideas. Okay, so one idea, this is what I do. I have two breakfasts. I'm not gonna lie, I actually do. I have two breakfasts every day. So you could do that. For example, you could take like some overnight oats with you to work and have them in a little pot. So you've got your breakfast before you go, and then like a mini overnight oats that you could take with you. Or if you've been really active that morning, you've done exercise, it might not be a mini one. You could have some boiled eggs. You could take things like carrot or cucumber sticks and hummus. You could, oh gosh, there's so many different ideas. If you like cottage cheese and things like cottage cheese and blueberries or whatever, you could do that. You could have apple slices and peanut butter. Greek yogurt, nuts and seeds, or nuts and a banana. Loads and loads of different ideas. But yeah, anything like fruit or high protein to keep you going, or like I said, even like having the second breakfast of having some overnight oats to take with you in a little pot is a really great idea. And you might think, oh my gosh, I can't have two breakfasts. But quite often, they'll be like, it'll be much more nutritious and probably less calorie dense doing that than then just having loads of snacks and turning to snacks that give you a bit of a sugar spike and then leaving you with a sugar crash and then feeling really, really hungry and like you're just grasping on until lunchtime. So doing something like that is actually a lot better. But there's a few ideas. I'm a bit unsure how to start eating healthily. Should I be calorie counting or just a 70-30? Now, calorie counting, I've done, what I would do is look at the ebook, read the ebook on calories and calorie counting. That is the first thing I'm going to say. I feel like you need to look at that first. Calorie counting is more of a short-term thing. And sometimes it can be useful, so then you know how much is roughly in certain foods, etc. But it's not a long-term thing at all. And it can actually really mess up, and I've seen this happen so many times, mess up your relationship with food completely. Really, what we want to be doing is thinking, what is nutrient dense and what isn't? And I feel like we all kind of know that to an extent, right? You know, is a is a chocolate bar nutrient dense? What nutrients am I getting from it? Well, not really getting any nutrients from it, so it's not nutrient dense. Is an egg nutrient dense? Yes. So you see where I'm going with this. Is it from the ground? Is it made from the ground or is it processed and made in a factory? That's how you're going to know whether it's nutrient dense or not. ideally. So most of the time, we want to be focusing on the nutrient-dense foods. So 70% of the time, and rather than it being like, right, okay, I need to look at my food and calculate it for the whole day, what's 70%, or look at my whole entire week, where's my 70% and my 30%, rather than using it like that, it's more of a mindset thing. So you want to be focusing mainly on wholesome, nutrient-dense foods the majority of the time, whilst having a little bit of what you want to. And that is the whole idea behind the 70-30 rule. The best thing you can do is get some consistency with your diet, and then you know where you are. So have a look at your diet, where you are right now with your diet. Get some consistency so you can actually, have an idea and track where you are with things and where you need to make tweaks. For example, you might start off really well. You might start off with a really balanced breakfast. You might have your 30% might be the fact that you have a Kit Kat mid-morning or whatever it might be. And then lunch might be super balanced. You might have like a really healthy balanced salad with potatoes and nuts and seeds and whatever, chicken or whatever you want. And then you might get towards the end of the day, be absolutely craving stuff, and then end up having like a takeaway and then an ice cream and then some wine. And then obviously that's not quite 70-30. Do you see where I'm getting at here? So it might be best to see, okay, where are my energy dips in the day? Where do I feel like I could be making some improvements in my week? And do that. Because what a lot of people do is they call themselves like, no, they don't call themselves this, but basically they eat healthily from Monday to Thursday, and then they'll say, oh, well, I've done really, really well. Friday, I'm going out. Saturday, I'm going to be going out. And then Sunday, we're going to eat breakfast out. And then we're going to go for a Sunday dinner. And then, do you know what? I'm going to have a Chinese as well. And a lot of that is because they've not allowed themselves a bit of what they want earlier on in the week as well. So it's this whole mindset of just eating healthily, nutrient-dense food most of the time, and then 30% a bit of what you want. Start with what you have right now. Get some consistency with your diet so you know where you are. And look at 2 areas this week where you can make some tweaks. Where could that be? And also have a look at the nutrition ebook. The nutrition ebook that will give you some really good ideas. This is something that I shared for the nutrition focus. So if you're currently on the 6-week course, go to the email that I sent on Monday where I shared the shopping trolley, because that is where you'll find it. If you're not on the 6-week course, there's a big button at the moment on your homepage, and I'm going to be adding it all to the nutrition area. So before you decide whether you're going to calorie count or not, or what you're going to do, or about the 70-30 rule, have a look at that. And like I said, my best advice is to do those 2 things. Get some consistency and look at 2 areas where you can tweak this week. Final question, team. How do I reduce back flab? So this is a really similar question to the top one about saddlebags. You can't fat spot reduce, but what you can do is you can tone and shape that area. And the things that I would do for that, and then also, like I said, be in a calorie deficit. Although I know the person who's written this is super, super strong and already super lean. So what I would say is to shape that area. If classic things like in the gym would be like a lat pull down and things, but with our online classes, stronger, doing all the rows. And you've also got flies that you can do. So a weight in each hand and, slightly lean forwards, open up the arms. So you do flies, rows, even things like planks and push-ups are going to be working your back as well. So focusing on those, I would be looking at, or even like upper body strength. So type into on demand and put upper body strength. But you want to be looking at back on demand. So if you type back in, there's quite a few Pilates back ones. So the one we did the other day is quite good. We did back strengthen and lengthen, but it was mainly strengthen. So that was a good one. Pilates, but then, yeah, ideally you want to be using some weight. So stronger or upper body strength, doing those minimally like twice a week, and then putting some Pilates in there as well. All right, I hope this has been really, really informative, everybody. If you have any further questions, please pop them onto the Q&A for next week or get in touch with myself. And I hope that has given you lots of food for thought and lots of direction for this week ahead. So, gang, let's do it. I will see you in class.